Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jump Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet where I'm back, baby. I'm Will, and joining me this week, Brandon.
I'm not back because I'm here every week.
Ills.
I declare bankruptcy.
And Moozamil.
I got tired of doing your job.
Well, so did I. That's why I'm back. It's 3 weeks, as I think maybe my longest break. I was in the hospital for a period of time and did not miss that long during this podcast run. But, you know, life happens. People, obligations. But you know what is the biggest obligation of all? Following video game news. That's why we do it. And
That's true.
I was really
sometimes
hoping you were going to save the list.
And the list.
I was ready to scream the list right there too. I was like,
we cannot invoke the cursed words until it's done.
that was where my brain was at. Was when he was building that up. It really sounded like we were building into the list.
You've heard me do that build up about 200 times now, so you can probably is my natural instinct.
Well, here's the thing: the magic with the list is if you say the words, if we all shout the words. We have to start.
We have to. So it's a very Beetlejuice-like situation. We have to be very careful about the L word.
To be fair, we have nothing else to talk about this week. Why don't we just jump right into it?
Just add four games to the list right now.
Yeah, let's just do a list.
We got stuff to talk about, everybody.
Liar.
This blood and this stone. I promise you that much. So we're a month in to having our next gen systems. Right?
Yeah.
Let's just, how are they treating you?
The PS5 is a loud piece of shit.
It is loud. It is louder than I thought it would be for being so big.
Like, it's just, I'm sorry, but it is just, I was watching a YouTube videos, and then I don't know, the disk drive just starts spinning up, and it's like, I can't hear this YouTube video over my PlayStation 5 just blaring out.
It just starts doing that for no reason.
And it's just if I was playing a disc game, I could maybe alright, it's authenticating the disc that I'm playing. I was watching YouTube.
You downloaded all of YouTube to that Demon Souls disc.
Yeah. I like to play the disc version of YouTube. You know? That's
faster load.
It's like the Wii.
Yeah.
It is very much like the Wii. Oh, what a special thing that was, huh? I think it's. I had about a week where I played through Bug Snacks and I played through Astrobot. I haven't played through Miles or Demon Souls fully yet because I've been away from my home where my PS5 is. But it's that thing. You know what's funny? Ow! I hit my thumb. What's funny? Is for a long time we were told who plays old games, right? Well, you got a new system. You want to play old games on your new system? The answer is yes, actually. I can't tell you how much. I don't have a Series X yet. I imagine it's even better on that because the backwards compatibility is more fully featured. But I loaded up Genshin Impact. That sucker's running smooth, and that thing was screaming on my PS4 Pro. I wanted to die. And so it's suddenly it turns out that especially in the gen where games as a service and multi-year long games are really in the fore, I feel like them passing up backwards compatibility on this gen in particular would have been a huge mistake, actually.
I find it very funny that you chose Genshin Impact as your old game.
Well, it was...
Here's an old game.
We can talk. That ties into I'm terrified of installing those old games because I'm almost out of storage with 4 games on my system.
Well, that is also true. But on the note of backwards compatibility, real quick, granted this is one region, so you shouldn't take it out of proportion or anything. But in Japan, the software sales for the PS5 are a dumpster fire.
Yes.
Demon Souls and Miles sold like shit. Even the PS5 version of Call of Duty. The PS4 version sold more than it, which I guess makes sense because there's a bigger install base. But even then, it's nowhere near. You add those numbers up, but it's not near the number of people buying the system. And
is the console itself doing well?
The console itself is in Japan.
That was going to be our next news topic, which is going to be the sales for everywhere. But we can go into it now. Why not?
I just want to mention that you guys talking about playing your PS5 is making me feel Like,
Well, you're playing your Xbox Series X, Brandon.
You got
yeah.
your own next gen system.
you're right. I know. But I've been trying to get a PS5.
It's hard. It's talking about sales. Every number we're going to be talking about here, it should be noted, is supply constrained, right? No one that wants to buy these things can get all of them, right? So I'm going to give you the easiest layup in the history of mankind. We know how the Xbox Series X and PS5 and the Switch have been doing in the UK. What do you think won the month of launch?
I wonder if it's the new PlayStation console.
Wonder.
Oh, hard to figure out. Hard to believe the PS5 is doing. But the other thing is actually, like, even Xbox is doing a step up from what it did at the start of last gen. The Switch, it was like alarmingly close because Switch isn't supply constrained, right? So video games on the whole did really well in the UK. But, and as you talked about how software for the PS5 in general is doing very bad in Japan, and sort of nothing is doing really well in Japan right now on the next gen front in general. But the one place where that is sort of shared, where there seemingly is a little bit of a red flag, is on Demon's Souls, where even in the UK, Sony land, it is not doing numbers that you would think it would do as the second most prolific launch title, right?
And the only true exclusive.
True, because Miles is the biggest launch title, but it's also on PS4. So I'll lead off with I might be leading the witness here. You think this is a result of the $70 price tag? You think this is a problem?
I genuinely don't think that's even most of the problem. I think it's some of the problem. I think it's like part to blame, but I don't think it's the biggest issue that happened. I mean, the one that I want to blame, that it definitely is not true, but it's definitely because the gaijins are making it. No, no, I just think Demon's Souls was like marketed very poorly. I think that we had that big PS5 conference in September that gave us the date and the price and what have you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't tell us that Demon's Souls was at launch, right? Like, no one fucking knew it was coming at launch until later that day. Like, we just found out through tweets.
Jeff Keighley, in fact, was the first to break the news. But I think that's just kind of undercurrent of Demon's Souls' whole goddamn marketing. Like, I don't know if they really got the word out that much that, hey, Demon's Souls is out at launch. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's weird that a Souls game Souls is higher than ever right now, right? Dark Souls 3 is a 10 million seller, right? Sekiro sold 5 million copies in a year, right? Not to interrupt, but is Dark Souls 3 Bamco's best-selling game, period, at this point?
It might be. Actually.
It's close. It's definitely top 5 ever.
I mean, otherwise, what would it be? It did better than all the Tekken games, and it did. Yeah, it might be. I don't know.
Yeah, which is to say, look at Souls, even though it's viewed as being very niche, can be very mainstream, right?
Yeah.
Not here.
I mean, and I guess part of that you could say, well, maybe this is just a sign that a big chunk of the Souls audience is actually on PC. I don't know. Maybe that's the case too, right?
Mm-hmm. It's pretty funny that Demon's Souls, a game that's already considered a cult classic, is not being played again.
Yeah,
re-released. It's not.
To be clear, I think that the PS5 version will end up being a multi-million seller down the line.
It will do, yes, yeah.
I think that's a guarantee. And so it will do considerably better than the original release. Still, probably not as. The other weird thing, though, I wonder, are people getting their FromSoft fix on the PS5 too? Because Bloodborne is on the PlayStation Plus Instant Collection. When you boot up your PS5, you get to claim a bunch of PS4 games, and one of them is Bloodborne, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're like, I'll just play Bloodborne. I don't know.
This is a better game than Demon's Souls.
Yeah.
Sure.
For sure it is. All right. And I don't know. I just think it's just a mix of all of the above, right? I think it's funny because some people will say, oh, the launch sucks, whatever. It's a pretty crowded launch. There's a lot to play on the PS5 launch, right?
Sure.
You can play Astro, which comes with it. You can play Miles. You get Bug Snacks for free. You have the Plus collection, like you said. You have your whole line of backwards compatible games. So there's a lot to play, a lot of competition. A lot of people buying games like Assassin's Creed too. Don't forget, right? Valhalla did super, super well.
A very old game, Genshin Impact.
The very old game Genshin Impact. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a mix of there's just way too much competition at this launch, right? It's just one really crowded launch. And then it's just kind of being poorly marketed.
Yeah, well, but I think that the really crowded launch does tie into the price tag, not because
yeah. That definitely ties in for sure, right?
Yeah, like you can pick up 2 games at launch normally, right? Maybe 3 if you're willing to like splurge, because you're already spending $500 on this thing, and adding the extra $20 on the grand scale of things maybe doesn't feel like that much. But when you're on Amazon looking at your shopping cart, it tricks your brain, right? You're like, I'm getting
yeah, like you gotta buy. You're gonna buy like Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty, and then you're gonna buy Miles, and then you're gonna buy Year of Plus, and it's just like you're gonna buy a controller. It's just like all these
suddenly adds up very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much are the controllers?
$70 US.
Same price as Demon Souls.
Okay.
Same price as Demon Souls. Yeah. I don't know. There's just So definitely, and it's worth noting too. Like we don't know about American sales, right? But we know the big UK and Japan. Yeah. But we know Europe got even more fucked by the new pricing scheme than America did. Like we got a $10 increase and they got like a €20 increase, and then in the UK I think it was £20 as well, or £15 or something like that. But it was just like they got which makes no sense because already they were already paying more for games than we were, right? And number 2, their currency is valued more than ours. So
I think you know why Saf puts 500 hours into each game now.
It's out of necessity rather than desire.
Saf's, by the way, speaking of Saf, he's putting like fucking 100 hours into Age of Calamity.
This is the thing that I don't understand about Zephyr. Is I have 100% of that game now. I've done all that can be done. And I don't rush through video games, right? Took me like 55 hours. For Saf, he's passed me and he's like a quarter of the way through the game, like halfway through now. But like he's at like 70 hours or something, right? It's ridiculous. He's crazy.
I mean, maybe he does the same thing I do. I don't know. I mean, I know Saf plays games differently than I do, but I have like 40 hours in that game, but I definitely didn't play it for 40 hours because I'm fucked up in the head and I am addicted to my phone, and I'll just be on my phone with the game running. And I'm racking up that playtime even though I'm not playing the game. So it always overinflates all my playtimes because
that is true.
Constantly checking. I'm messed up and I'm constantly checking my phone, and like I'll accidentally get lost on my phone for 40 minutes, and like I just do it all the time. So like all my playtimes are inflated because of that.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think Saf's just a madman. I think Saf is just...
that can add like 5 or 10 hours, right? Whereas Saf is adding 50. So there's a mix, probably.
He's budgeting.
He's budgeting. So that's the thing. But sort of on that same sales note, Japan overall, I don't have all the exact numbers in front of me, right? But the PS5 launched around less than PS4 numbers, right? A little bit higher than PS3. And launch windows are always weird because essentially it's just can you sell as many as you can make, right?
Pretty much.
I mean, I think I do want to point out the PS4 to PS5 comparison is especially flawed because PS4 in Japan launched later than everywhere else. It came out in February, so they were able to get their stock in order, right? And then so they were able to have a bigger launch in Japan. And, then you could say, oh, well, is Sony not sending off units to Japan, blah, blah, blah. But I just think with a global launch, it's just so impossible to like...
You have to... Some places have to get
fairly, I guess, divide up the consoles, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just launching in so many goddamn regions. And then you have the extra layer of COVID. So, like, different countries have different restrictions. It's a whole mess.
Sure.
But that is to say, I don't know. Like... I don't know what to think about the PS5 performance. Like, it's selling out, so that means something, but it's also, like, still kind of a low number. So, like, I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You said that it's outsold. It hasn't... It was... The PS4 did better, right? Is what you said?
Yeah, apples to oranges a little bit, but sure, yeah.
In Japan. Okay, because I swear to God, I thought I saw Sony tweet that they had the best launch of a console yet.
That's probably worldwide, is what I would say.
Did they tweet that yet? I don't think that...
I thought they did. I know Xbox tweeted it, but I thought that Sony tweeted it too.
I don't think that that's come out. Maybe it has. I didn't see it myself, but But to be fair, just to be clear, globally, this is almost certainly going to be the biggest launch a console has ever seen. Period. Just in history, not even PlayStation history. In console history, this is going to be the biggest launch ever. No doubt.
Every report is the people that know MPD's numbers, right? Because MPD knows all this stuff, but they don't release it till midway through the month because old archaic reasons, right? But everyone's like, November will be insane for video games. It will be insane. Like, PS5 is doing insane. Switch is doing insane. Xbox is doing incredibly well, right? Like, which is it definitely is a tier below, seemingly, the insane numbers the other two are doing, right? But this is two very successful launches and a system that is entering the best period of its life cycle, right? So, like, everything is just determined by can you get enough out there, because people will buy it, right? They're doing lotteries right now for the stuff, especially in Japan. They're doing lotteries for both Switch and PS5 right now because there's just so many.
I mean, I'm telling you, like I said it before on this podcast, whoever sells the most during this holiday is just gonna be whoever produces the most systems. Like, that's the only limit, because all three of these systems are just selling out, like, completely, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I can see that with being the case for Sony and Nintendo, but I don't know even if Microsoft had the
stock,
the consoles out there. I don't know if they would beat them, honestly.
I don't know. I just think video games as a whole. I mean, sure, I don't necessarily disagree, but like video games as a whole are just doing great right now, right? And it's just like, and people are desperate for new hardware because, like, I mean, what else are you gonna do? You can't go out to a movie. You can't. So it's we're in a different world, and that obviously plays into things. But also, I mean, all these consoles are just. I mean, people are excited for them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are we in a better world now that people realize that video games?
I'm not even. I know this is a joke, but I'm not even gonna like. No.
It's been 8 months. We're all very tired.
No. In fact, you know what? That makes it even worse. I'm not. No.
Yeah, I don't want these filthy casuals edging into my fucking hobby.
Exactly.
Let's not gatekeep.
Seals gets it.
Oh God, no.
The gates would just keep getting higher.
I'm joking.
We're hello and welcome to the Jump Up Supercast, where we gatekeep.
We're the true believers.
Yeah. Excelsior.
Roll the copy pasta about that guy who said you're not a real gamer.
Yeah.
You don't play.
So next gen will continue unabated, everyone. Don't worry. It's not going away. If you can't get a PS5 now, Brandon, eventually there will be one.
Yeah, eventually I'll get one when there's actually games out that I want to play, so it's fine.
Hey, take that, Spider-Man. Get owned.
I can play that on PS4.
Brandon's gonna be one of those people who buy PS5 and no games, just like all those people in Japan. Just like, I got Genshin Impact. I mean, to be fair, just to be clear, the best game I've played on the PS5 yet is still Astro's Playroom. I'm just saying.
I mean, that's really the only...
Wow.
Really? That's the reason I want it right now.
100%.
You think it's better than Spider-Man?
I think it's far better than Spider-Man.
You don't want to know where Amuse wants to put Astro on the list. You do not.
I asked. I want to know.
This guy hasn't played Bug Snacks yet.
This guy hasn't played. I haven't played Bug Snacks yet, but I don't think I'm gonna like it more than Astro. I think Astro's Playroom is legitimately like the best platformer that has been released this generation. Well,
I mean, it did start a month ago, so that checks out.
I'm talking about the Nintendo.
No, I know what you were actually talking about, and I'm not acknowledging it.
I'm not acknowledging that bullshit.
That's pretty spicy.
It's a better game than Odyssey. Look, I'm here to say it.
We're just going to move on and talk about our good friend Okami.
Stupid.
Because as part of the Capcom leaks, we've gotten a lot of sales stuff is starting to come out. This is stuff that definitely thinks companies do not want to be released. But I do think it's interesting because we have Okami, much like Resident Evil, is a game that has quietly come out on every system known to man.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll give you all of the ones that's come out on. And Moose, you already probably know this by heart, so you're maybe not eligible.
I'm not allowed to
guess. Came out on Switch, PC, PS3, Xbox One, PS4, and then originally on the PS2 and the Wii. Right? What do you think it sold best on?
The Wii.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out and say the Wii.
The Wii was like 5th.
Jesus.
Wow.
Number one is Switch, which came out like 2 years later than all the other versions.
That is literally the most recent port of the game, and that's all. And not even just sold best by a lot. Lot. The Switch version sold the most. It sold 600,000 copies. Like more than like what was it like 660K? Like that is for an old ass game like Okami. That is ridiculous, right? And I think that just goes to, it's funny because you guys guessed Wii, right? And I think that just kind of goes to show like the Switch audience, man, like they love hardcore games like Okami, they also love casual games, of course, but like it's just a different audience,
Yeah. And it should be say not super far behind it, but 536K. There's PC, right? And then PS3 is right below that. Then PS4. Then
see, you would think a PlayStation would be next, right? But not. It's PC. I mean, see, this is why I keep preaching, right? Like Japanese games, you need to be on Switch, you need to be on PC, right? Like, especially like the ones that are not pushing the high, like obviously Final Fantasy, you don't need to be on Switch, right? You're pushing the high end. You can be on next gen only. That's okay, right? But anything that's like a mid tier, not really like pushing like fidelity that much, or even the ones that are pushing fidelity, those should be on PC, right? Like, there's no excuse not to put your game on PC. But the ones that are not pushing fidelity, there's like, you need to put your games on Switch, like they just do really, really, really well on this platform. Like, there's no reason not to do it.
And speaking of that, we also have the numbers for the Ace Attorney trilogy. Yeah. That got released. I mean, you want to guess again? Who did best?
I mean, Switch.
It was Switch. It was Switch by, this one's not even close. It was 500K basically for Switch, and then 250K for PC was number 2, right? So double. But the real notable one, Xbox. Do you want to? I think I already told Brandon. Ills, you want to guess a number?
Yeah, I already know.
Guess a number?
How many copies do you think Ace Attorney sold?
I think you told me too. Isn't it very low, like 20,000 or 10,000?
No,
it is 4,821 copies.
That one, that 21, that one at the end.
The one in 21 was Brandon.
That was me.
That is honestly pathetic. Like there's no other way to say it. That's just pathetic. Like
it's an order of 100,000. It's 100,000 times.
To be fair,
no, there's no to be fair.
Nobody gives a shit about fucking. Unfortunately, Japanese games perform like absolute dog shit on Xbox because one, barely anybody owns one, especially in Japan, and two, people in America are shitheads and they don't care about good games.
No, but I don't know about this generalization, but like, I think that this is pathetic for Japanese games to sell this poorly on the Xbox. Like, that is like Xbox has a problem there, And I don't know.
Put it on Game Pass. Put it on Game Pass.
A game like Ace Attorney, like, that's a pretty well-known game at this point, right? And again, like, this is not some super niche, like, Hyperdimension Neptunia garbage, right? Like,
well, what's the solution to make Japanese games actually sell?
I don't know, but like, I mean, to be fair, Game Pass.
Put a cowboy in there.
Tales of Vesperia 2.
I think legitimately, Game Pass is the answer there, right? It's like Microsoft is paying. They're paying these people, these companies to. They're essentially covering the porting costs in a way, right? And that's fine. Sure, that works. And I think that is a good way to build an audience for Japanese games on the system, right?
But I do think it's worth saying that by and large, in the console market, Japan is a market that has been in decline, right? It has been. And so it sort of is this thing that's like, PlayStation has had a strong identity in Japan for a very long time, right? And so even if they're not necessarily catering or whatever, people complain about they don't prioritize Japan, it still has a strong name recognition in the country, right? Whereas Xbox, there was like a moment during the 360 where they sort of had a resurgence, right? But they don't have that type of situation, so they're not only having to sort of like try to maintain and like not suffer losses, they're having to climb uphill in a situation where the entire market outside of Nintendo is going downhill, right? Which isn't to say it's impossible, right? Like, Nintendo was on a downward slope, and then the Switch turned it around for them, right?
No, but
the Switch also. So
Japanese Japanese sales, as in like the country, right? I don't think they factor in at all here, right? Because like these kind of games sell better in the West than they do in Japan. So like, forget Japan.
You're right. So my brain shifted to talking about Japan again.
Yeah, but like domestically here in the United States, right, where Xbox is strong, right? But Japanese games do well here. They do. Japanese games do really. They sell better here than they do there. Xenoblade Chronicles sells better outside of Japan than it does in Japan, right? And that's some Japanese bullshit.
Right? You're right, but that's the Nintendo fan base compared to
but I know I get the whole fan base thing, but that's what I'm saying. Like I think that it's Xbox needs to do a better job, like diversifying
they do.
I mean, arguably one of
they're trying. I can tell you that.
Phil's making a lot of trips. I mean, I would say, well, it's also, I think it's interesting because it's like, what are the games where the aesthetic also fits the Xbox market more, right? Because we know games like Souls still do well on Xbox, right? Mm-hmm. Monster Hunter did more than well enough to justify it being on all the platforms, right? And even a game like Yakuza, right, which Xbox is attaching themselves to a lot, right, at launch, is sort of very much. These are all games that, I mean, Yakuza is a deeply Japanese game, right? But like the aesthetic of them isn't, like there's an anime, I guess, is just to overly generalize, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like there is something there and like you said, it doesn't have to be that way, right? But I feel like there sort of is this perception that if you were into anime, Nintendo and Sony is where you would buy those first. Yeah.
PlayStation. I mean, well, PlayStation is the platform for everything, right? Just period.
Sure.
Like everything comes to PlayStation unless you are published by a rival first party, I guess. But everything comes to PlayStation, and for good reason. I don't know. I just think that I'm saying these things, but like you're right. Like they are trying, they are doing things, and I think Game Pass is legitimately like the way to build that audience, right? To prime your audience to buy more of these types of games, right? Like maybe we saw from the Capcom leak that Resident Evil 7 is gonna be. Is it already on Game Pass? I don't think so, right?
No,
I'm not gonna fact check that. It's gonna be on
Game Pass. 7?
Yeah, 7.
RE7 was on Game Pass already, I'm pretty sure.
But it's coming back to Game Pass according to the leak in January, early next year.
I think it's on Game Pass now.
You know what? I don't care when. Just point is, it's gonna be on Game Pass right before RE8 is coming out, right? And I think that is a great strategy in of itself, right? Like you get all these people playing Resident Evil 7, which is a fantastic game by all accounts. Sure. I guess I can't vouch for myself, but it's a fantastic game, and you get people excited for RE8 on your platform, right? And I think that's.
But sometimes you end up in a situation where you're like, we got all the Final Fantasy games, get hype everybody, and then Square makes FF16 exclusive to the PS5. Right? And you're just like, what are we gonna do? Right? I'm shrugging my shoulders.
Yeah, I mean I feel like that continuously happens to them, right? Too. I mean, they're like, they even were like, we're getting all these Final Fantasy games on Game Pass, and then it's like Final Fantasy 7 exclusive to PlayStation 5, or PlayStation 4, and it's like one step forward, two steps back. I feel like, and also we're not even getting all those games that they said were coming out. They were like, all these Final Fantasy games on Game Pass by the end of 2020. Well, we still are missing like 4 of them, and 2020 is pretty much over. I don't think it's happening at this point. So yeah, I don't know. It's like you think they have the support, and then the plug gets pulled. It's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This sort of spiraled into a whole a wider conversation about the state of how you handle it, right? But I do think part of the Capcom sales though is like you're like, oh, we talked a month ago about sales, right? About the big Capcom leaks and how they're doubling down on Switch. You're seeing the reason why, right? These are not their biggest of big, right? They're not Resident Evil, they're not Monster Hunter, but they are they're that tier below, and they do best on Switch. That's why they're coming, and they're being. I mean,
that's why also, but like you said, not the biggest of big, but then like we have an exclusive Monster Hunter coming soon, right?
Yeah, sure, right.
We are. I mean, like the biggest of the big, right? That's because
getting both. and they probably, I mean, they can take risks with games like we talked about, like that, Ghosts and Goblins reboot or sequel or
whatever it's gonna be.
They can take. Yeah, they can take risks on stuff like that because they're like, well, it's going to be on the Switch.
Yeah, Switch owners are disgusting and just eat up anything that vaguely resembles a retro game. That just...
Yeah.
Throw it into my mouth.
Like a pig at the trough. Yeah, so there's that, right? I don't know if this means a lot to you, but... the long-awaited journey is over.
Yeah.
Persona 5 Strikers is coming out. We found out the date through a leak, which I think is hilarious. They posted the trailer when they weren't supposed to. It's coming in
February
23rd, 2021. We'll get the exact date. But the thing that's of note is it's coming to PS4, Switch, and Steam, right? Which
it's a new platform right there.
The Steam was not announced, and one of the things that happened this year was Persona 4 Golden came out on Steam and did insane, right?
Yep.
So I feel like we're seeing that directly come as a result of that. I imagine even for P6, whenever that happens, they would have to be fools, and they are Atlas, so they might be fools.
There's a good chance they still will be fools.
To not have it on Steam at least day one.
But Strikers coming to PC is a genuinely good sign, right? And I think this justifies the lengthy localization process, I would say, because they had to port it to an entire new platform, right?
Sure.
And this is good because I literally just said, right? Like, Japanese games have no excuse not being on PC. No fucking excuse to not be on PC. Your games do really well on Steam. So, I think, to me, what this tells me, because this is a very not Atlas move, right? So I think Persona 4 Golden must have just sold so well above beyond their expectations, right? That they literally reshuffled everything to be like, okay, we need to be on Steam. We are stupid not to be on Steam.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah, they should be re-releasing all the fucking Persona games.
Yeah, I mean, the SMT3 remaster that's coming out next year for Switch and PS4, put that on PC, right? Put that on Steam.
And all the SMT games too.
Why not? It's gonna do well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still ridiculous that this took this long to get localized though. Like, come on, this is.
Yeah, I mean, the Persona franchise is at an all-time high at fucking public visibility and popularity.
Especially
this is the time.
Especially in the West, where, again, it's selling better outside of Japan than it is in Japan, yet Atlas still has this outdated mentality. They still do not start the localization process at all until the game is released in Japan? Like, their localizers...
Well, except for SMT.
Yeah, I guess SMT5.
Nintendo makes them
but, I'm assuming Nintendo's paying them for that, right? But, isn't that nuts? That they don't wait, they don't give their localizers copies of the game to start working on until after it's done. No one does that anymore.
Well,
fucking no one does that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's hilarious because it's just they are. There's often the thing that Nintendo's an elephant, right? It's just big and it's slow and it gets to everything too late, right? It just does it go and it goes at its own pace. Atlas is like that, but times 100, right? There's that, right? Just where they seem to be completely unaware of what the modern audience is and how their games have done well, right? They have not marketed Persona, right? They have, they do trailers, right? Those trailers are good. I don't want to say that, but they're not putting Persona ads on buses in New York, right? They're not doing any of the traditional video game marketing in the West, right? So much of that series' success is purely through word of mouth, right?
Leave my buses alone.
Sorry about I don't want to disgrace your buses with anime.
Genshin Impact, there was all over the place. Yeah,
see, and that's a game that is deeply. You would think, well, can this work in America? Look how anime it is. It did great, right? But I found this out recently. There was a excuse me, Muzamil. There was a VTuber who they have to get pre-approval from the games companies to stream games, right? Because they work for a corporation, so they could get sued. And She just spent 2.5 hours being like, Atlas, please let me play Persona 3. For God's sakes, you won't let us do it for this 20-year-old game. Like, what are you, it's 15. 15-year-old game, what are you doing? Right? And I found out that not only that, but for Persona 5, they set an arbitrary rule back in 2017. Where
this shit was ridiculous. I remember.
You can't stream past July in-game, which is like a third of the way through.
Yeah.
And I thought, surely they'll let off on that, right? This is... In 2020, they are still taking down people that go past that in their playthroughs. And it's like, this is success in spite of yourself in every way. It's very frustrating.
Dumb.
If only they put this effort into localizing the game zones.
It's true. It's true. Or just not being idiots. But I was going to say, speaking of not being idiots, that's going to be really mean. We've had a lot of like movement from heads of studios this week. So chief among them is Kiichiro Toyama, who is the director of Silent Hill 1 and 2, did Gravity Rush, right? Has been heading up Sony Japan for a while. Is leaving along with the producer of The Last Guardian and the head game designer for Gravity Rush, to all make their own studio, which is called Bokeh Studio, right? Which this comes after news already that seemingly Sony was going to be downsizing their Japan studio, and letting people go.
Like, people doubt Mochizuki, but he's right.
Yeah.
He's always right.
Mochizuki, of course, the Schreier of Japan, said this months ago. Everyone said, "What are you talking about?" He was right. He was totally right. But you were sorry, I interrupted you, Moose.
No, that's all I wanted to say. But this sucks. This just sucks. Like, I mean, no, I'm glad they're making their own studio. That they still get to do something, right? And that's cool. But what the part of it that sucks is, okay, yeah, clearly they're downsizing Japan studio. And by the way, this should put to rest any lingering hope for the Silent Hill PS5 rumor. Put that to rest, because that ain't happening.
PT.
That rumor would not die.
It would not die.
It would not die, but it should now, because Toyama's literally not in the company anymore. Like,
he's not there anymore. Much like Pyramid Head, it's long gone.
Yeah.
Which is ironic, because I guess we can say whatchamacallit, because it came from that horror website that got RE8 perfectly right, but I guess Capcom is not Konami, so they have different sources, right? So yeah, that Silent Hill not coming back, everyone. Sorry. You know what? In a week in the Game Awards, we'll be made fools of. I guarantee you.
Yeah, this is gonna age so poorly. Yeah, I don't know, but I am looking forward to playing whatever game they had, because Gravity Rush was dope. I didn't really play anything like I don't like Silent Hill. I mean, I don't play horror games, so like Silent Hill and like
Game Club,
Siren, and what else did they make? I don't remember.
Japan studio in specific?
Yeah. Horror game wise, they made. Is it just those two?
Astro's.
No.
Playroom.
I was thinking horror games, but yeah.
No, yeah, Astro's Playroom.
Okay. And then and this guy,
wow,
before he started working at Sony, worked on Silent Hill, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe they're gonna do horror, in which case I'm not very interested, but it's still cool, right? And then I don't want to like take that away from people, but I hope it's something cool like Gravity Rush that is to my tastes, whatever they're making.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I guarantee it'll be on PS5 still, even if they're not working for Sony anymore.
100%. We'll still be on PS5.
And I have to imagine, well, because I think the other thing is people are saying with Japan Studio being downsized, what does that mean for the Astro franchise, right? And I would be shocked if they discard Astro, because one, I think the director of that game literally said, like, you'll be hearing from us soon about what else he'll be up to on PS5. Yeah. But Astro's Playroom so heavily attaches itself to the PlayStation brand. Like, I think they want this guy to be the all-encompassing PlayStation mascot now.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if he disappears.
And the other thing is that Japan Studio is being downsized. Yes, we could almost say that for sure now. But it'll still be around, and Astro games do not take many people to make.
I went through those credits in Playroom, and I thought, this is not a lot of people. This feels like a PS1 credits, where it's like gameplay director, and it's like one guy, and you're like, well, he did a good job.
Great job, yeah. No, Astro
man.
games don't like take very many people to make, right? So then, like,
did such a good job, it's better than Odyssey somehow.
I mean, it is, but
we don't need to keep this.
Yeah, but I wouldn't really expect them to be making anything besides Astro, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, Polyphony still exists as far as the Japanese Sony. But even then, man, you have to wonder.
They may not. They may not even be real.
You have to wonder, like, I mean, first of all, GT, man, how often does a GT game come out, right? Like, but second, like, I wonder if Polyphony is also secretly on the chopping block because, you know, man, Gran Turismo games take forever to come out, and they're selling less and less with each iteration. You know,
Yeah.
It's just like, it just and this seems to just be a thing, right? Like Sony. No matter what Jim Ryan will tell you, like, Japan's just not a focus for them anymore, right?
Yeah, it's funny. There was a lot of, I don't know if you recall, when Ryan took over back in like 2018, I guess it was now, 2019. There was a lot of the wars between Sony of America and Sony of Europe, right? And then it's like, Sony of Japan it's not even thought of. They're not in the conversation, right? Like,
yeah, like Sony is just fully. I mean, it's funny because like we still think of them as like. I mean, PlayStation is Japanese, right? But then it's like, man, Sony Interactive Entertainment, right? Which is like the sub.
The PlayStation.
Yeah, the PlayStation part of Sony, right? They moved their headquarters to San Mateo, California. Like they are an American company, right? I mean, you can say they're a global company, right? Like, you know, whatever. But like, and in general, Sony's strategy just seems to be global now, right? But global seems to be at the expense of Japanese. And even for people like us outside of Japan, it seems to mean that like games with kind of like Japanese sensibilities are kind of getting de-emphasized, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that just sucks. I like those type of games, you know? So, I don't know, and variety is the spice of life, you know. I don't know. It sucks that like seemingly all their focus is going to be just like on what sells well in America and Europe. I guess, you know.
Yeah, that does suck because I'm in the same boat. Because you know what I was thinking about? How much I loved the other day.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Goemon.
We love Goemon. He's got a good face, you know.
He's great. Damn you, Konami, you suck.
Get out of here. So besides that, there is some other news going on. Casey Hudson, who is one of the two doctors that it's why BioWare is called BioWare, is because two doctors founded it. And the last of the remaining doctors is gone. He's out of there now. As well as Mark Dara, who is been the steward for the Dragon Age franchise from its inception. Has been with the company since the 90s. They're both just leaving. There doesn't seem.
I mean, the steward of the Dragon Age franchise had fucked up there too, and then everyone hates the Inquisition, right? So, like, what the fuck?
But it will be. Well, he's been executive producer, right? So he's been sort of like he hasn't been. I imagine I don't know how much he's been in the nitty gritty, but he has been sort of the guy with the franchise from the beginning. So they have confirmed there will be something from the new Dragon Age being shown at the Game Awards next week. You can.
This is really awkward timing, right? Like, hey, I'm going to show you something about our game, but also two of our studio heads left. I'm like, what? You know, that's and also, by the way,
as I step out,
like we've heard from Schreier, right? This game is so early in development, right? Dragon Age, right? So like, and last year the trailer, quote unquote, we got was nothing, right? It was literally nothing. And so is this gonna be yet another fucking EA? Let me show you developers working on screens with wireframe models. Like, is this gonna be another one of those goddamn trailers?
That was what I was wondering. I think we're going to be getting some concept art. I feel like this really was going to
Because there's just no way Dragon Age is in any shape showable, right?
I mean, that would be more than what we got last.
Yeah, that would be more. Yeah, and I would rather they just stay quiet on Dragon Age until it's ready to show it. I feel that way about all their damn games. I mean, you know,
I feel that way about all games.
I mean, sure, yeah.
Up until the game's almost
But
done.
EA is especially bad about this, right? I mean, think about it like this. EA somehow made the reveal of Skate 4 not hype. Well, after that had been memed for years, and people were like, Skate 4, Skate 4, Skate 4. And they revealed, quote-unquote, Skate 4, and no one cared because the way they did it was so lackluster, so mediocre. It was just like, hey, we're making the new Skate, guys. You know, it's Stop doing this!
If they showed off like an actual trailer or gameplay for Skate 4, people would be fucking shitting their pants, go flying through the roof. But like the way they did it, it's like killed their own meme.
It's hilarious because it's for some godforsaken reason, it's very much like actual press conferences when they were for press. Right, where it's like we're developing this and this will be coming out this quarter, right? And you're sort of understanding, okay, this is as much for the investors as for the press, and blah 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 blah, right?
Yeah.
Instead, they're playing to an audience of, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of people, and treating it as though we're like all people there just were like, oh yes, like taking notes, right? When like people want to react, like that's the whole industry.
The Game
now.
Awards gets literally tens of millions of views, right? I think the last one got something like 40 million views or something ridiculous, These things get crazy view count numbers. This is for a general audience, right? And then, you get this kind of garbage, like this. Why? I really don't want to see Dragon Age again. Like, if it's nothing again, I don't want to see
it. I don't want to see it until it's in a playable form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what that is next week, right? BioWare is still supposedly working on Anthem 2.0. They're supposed to be working on a new Mass Effect. They're supposed to be working on a new Dragon Age.
He's working on a lot of and BioWare in particular is working on a lot of supposed. And then these departures, they don't make you feel good about any of these 3 projects.
Name a company that's just fucking degraded so much since the fucking not that long ago.
Yeah, like, I mean. Shit. All those franchises were made last gen, like that's the thing.
BioWare was literally a prestige studio not that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, like we hear them and we laugh, or
we roll our eyes.
I think there's one thing you can look at and blame, and that's Sonic.
Excuse me?
I think
as
soon as they touch Sonic.
That's right. They made a Sonic.
The Chronicles of the Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah.
They got infected with the Sonic curse.
They did.
But we're not even getting the Sonic cycle anymore. Like we're too burned, There's no hope that this one will be good.
There's just cynicism when it comes with BioWare, right? Like, do you think anyone is legitimately like excited for Dragon Age? Maybe there are. Maybe I'm just being dismissive, but it feels like the general reaction to it is just like.
If you're excited, you're keeping it at arm's length, even if you are excited, right? You don't want to be hurt again.
I think from what I saw, a quick reaction from just scrolling through comments on Twitter was, don't show us anything if you got nothing to show. Just don't fucking bother. Basically what we already said. So I think that really is the general
I also hope that just generally for the Game Awards in general, like if anyone's showing up to do a reveal, please bring something of substance. I don't
bring something of substance like Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez last year.
Yes.
That was exciting. Yeah. So, and then the final maneuver. Neil Druckmann.
What?
Neil Druckmann is not leaving. He is now the co-president of Naughty Dog. His meteoric rise continues every day.
He is the fucking face of Naughty Dog at this point.
He is the face of Naughty Dog.
He was right in front of Uncharted 4, and then especially Last of Us, and especially Last of Us Part 2, right? Like, this guy's just the face of it. Naughty Dog is still a super successful studio, still Sony's prestige studio, right? And say what you will about Last of Us 2. Like, that game is a big deal still, right? Like, it just is.
Sure. Yeah. It doesn't get the kind of reactions it got.
Exactly.
Less matters,
And so, I don't know, it's just Neil Druckmann, duh. Right? Just duh.
Duh, yeah. The other thing I am curious about is the Naughty Dog HBO show was officially put into motion 2 weeks ago, right? It was officially announced. It had been rumored forever. And they specifically said that Druckmann would be... they specifically talk about how he wanted to, and they wanted him to be heavily involved in the creative process, right? Now, a lot of that it tends to be lip service, right? But now being co-president as well, sort of managing the Last of Us brand more widely than just the video games, I wonder if, even though he's sort of the face of Naughty Dog now, if the next games from the studio he will have to take a step back from that director role a little bit, right? Maybe. Which I don't, they famously had a lot of senior talent leave after Uncharted 4, right? Because apparently development for that one was really
even after
rough.
Uncharted,
And
even after Uncharted 3 or Last of Us 1, right? Like,
yeah. They sort of hemorrhage and then like get people on, right, because they're a prestige name. But I think that Druckmann was sort of viewed as the last one of that old guard, right, which is why he got so much emphasis. So I wonder if he sort of steps away, who in that studio is sort of being groomed to be in that spot.
Who's filling up the vacuum?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, right? Because Naughty Dog is not they put out a game this year, so we might be 4 years before we find out who that person is, right?
It'll be a while before. But I hope maybe this is asking too much in the era of video games we are in, where development costs are so high and blah blah blah. But I hope Naughty Dog turns into a 2-game studio again, because the thing is, The Last of Us is just too successful to let die. Right? Like, there is no way Sony would be okay with Naughty Dog saying, we don't want to make Last of Us games anymore. Right? Because you can't. Like, it's like one of your biggest, if not your biggest, though I would argue probably God of War or Spider-Man at this point. But it is like one of your like tentpole franchises, right? And so so it would be nice if like they can make a new IP again, because it's been a bit. Like, their last new IP was The Last of Us 7 years ago at this point, right? It'd be nice if they could make a new IP and also make Last of Us games both. That would be ideal. That
would be very nice. I would like that a lot.
Yeah. And they kind of did that with Lost Legacy, right? But like that's clearly was they planned a DLC and it got expanded, right? I'm also curious
exactly what that is.
What happened with what will happen with Uncharted 2, right? Because that is also a huge name that I think
the rumors, if you care about the rumor mill any, is that Sony San Diego has a new studio
taking over.
And
which I have to imagine, right? And it's like I imagine Uncharted might be able to do that. I don't know if I feel like Last of Us is too much of their baby to let someone else make a Last of Us.
I would think it would be so weird if anyone but Naughty Dog made Last of Us. Like, Uncharted, sure. I mean, Uncharted has already
we had 5 games essentially.
Golden Abyss, right?
On the PlayStation Vita. But Last of Us, that's just so like Naughty Dog DNA, So if they could make Last of Us, and I guess even if they don't become a 2-team studio, though, like, they're clearly okay with letting Last of Us take like 7-year breaks, right? Like,
I mean, and if there's like a show happening in the middle, then you keep that awareness alive, right? You can have the games take breaks.
So maybe like they can make a new game still, and then after that they can make Last of Us and probably still be within that same console generation, right?
Yeah. Just Last of Us now lives
the show
in
and the Uncharted movie, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there's that.
I have a lot more faith in the HBO Last of Us show than the Sony Uncharted movie, though.
Do you have more faith in the Tom Holland Uncharted or the Oscar Isaac Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah, that just got announced today.
I guess the Tom Holland Uncharted, but I don't.
Because it's easier to translate. It's easier.
Metal Gear Solid is gonna be a disaster.
I mean, don't go past number 1.
Even then, that'll be hard, right?
People say, "Oh, it's basically a movie anyway." No, it's not. Like Metal Gear Solid, the gameplay is integral to that game. Right? Like, even I would argue the way the story is consumed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for 1, 2, 3,
yeah, sure,
yeah.
But so turning that into a movie is just like, and then especially without Kojima, who is Metal Gear Solid, it's just like I don't want any part in that.
I mean, Oscar Isaac is a good casting, at least. But,
casting can only take you so far, though,
I know, but that's the one piece of information we have. So congrats to Oscar Isaac. Hope he's not in a disaster. But yeah, by the way, everyone, you said no news we could talk about. Look at that timestamp. That blood was drawn from that stone. All right. But we've talked.
We could only do this with Will's, though.
No, we did it. Lou was barely
in fact,
news.
The last couple of weeks we had even less news, and I don't know how we managed to fill time.
I mean, we're a bunch of nerds who love talking about video games.
Yeah, we can go on diatribes. I mean, and we've been talking a lot about prestigious developers, right? The Last of Us with Naughty Dog, Mass Effect and Dragon Age with BioWare, Silent Hill, all these things. But the only true metric of prestige can be found on the list.
The list!
Follow along in the paste bin below, as every week we add a game to an ever-growing list.
Is it my turn?
No, it's my turn.
No.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. I also realized midway through the podcast. So, 229 games are on this list, right? This is not the top 229 games of all time, because stuff like Sonic 06 is on this list. It's 6 people bringing different things every week, comparing apples oftentimes to oranges, but that's where the joy comes from, as well as just getting a chance to talk about video games. Normally, we like to tie the game into the news of the week, right? Normally, we say we've gone so heavy on Nintendo in the past, we want to sort of diversify. This is not a normal week because I couldn't think of anything besides, Brandon, your passion and mine. I think other people have played this. Mario Golf Toadstool Tour on the Nintendo GameCube. Muzuma?
I played it. I don't remember anything about it, but I...
Now, that's the kind of ranking that we look forward to. If there's other alternatives, such as, I didn't think of any, you know what? I think that there's plenty we can get to. But what was the first thing we talked about this week on the podcast? Sales.
Demon Souls.
Demon Souls.
YouTube.
Are you gonna add Demon Souls? You can't
add Demon Souls. I thought I might add Demon Souls, and I thought about the lineup we have, and it's not workable. Hey, we're gonna do it, everybody. You know it's one of the best-selling video games of all time. Minecraft.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
Here we go. So has people played Minecraft?
Have fun.
Yeah, I have.
Now, what do you do about it is the question. So Minecraft.
Wait, is multiplayer Minecraft?
I've played Minecraft. I don't know how,
Oh yeah, you haven't. I thought you had played it more.
The thing. I'm in a weird situation where I played Minecraft on the Xbox 360.
I think that still works. I think that still works.
Yeah, I mean, I got all the achievements on the original.
You beat the Ender Dragon, right?
I did.
You beat the game.
I have played a collective maybe 2 hours of Minecraft, though.
Okay, so then round 3. Has everyone played Spyro the Dragon?
Oh man, what a disaster this has been.
Saf? This is why we need Saf. Saf covers a lot of holes.
No, leave it. You gotta leave it.
No, but Saf covers these things, right? Saf is a good third. And then Saf will just give up midway through the rank, and then you can just go home.
Why don't you help Ills out and add Splatoon 1?
Is that genuinely the best ad that's left from the old list?
Well, because Ills...
There's also Wind Waker.
You got Banjo Kazooie.
There's Donkey Kong 64.
No. Oh, these are just hard. This is hard
Mario
for Will.
Dead Space.
Got Wild Guns.
Mario Kart DS.
Wild Guns, I think.
Catherine.
Well,
Saf would be mad.
Saf would be mad. Let's do. You played Banjo.
I did.
Let's do
it. Banjo.
Banjo. Fucking do it.
We're gonna have Banjo Kazooie. This is the first game I wanted to add to the list, by the way. Is a game developed by Rare for the Nintendo 64. It is a collectathon platformer. Emphasis on the collectathon. Because where Mario 64 said you want to collect some coins and some stars, Banjo-Kazooie said let's take it a step further.
Yep.
You're collecting Jiggies, you're collecting notes, you're collecting Jinjos, you're collecting honeycombs, you're collecting plenty, right? Now, how far that gets you? Up for debate, I imagine. But I do think the things that Banjo brought to the table, in particular in that time frame, more of an emphasis on like story and character, right? Like it's not like a complex story, but like Grunty's lair is an environment that is unified, right? You are making your way through, and Grunty's constantly bickering at you. I don't know what I just said the first time, right? And I think that is fun. I think Grunty's a fun bad guy, and Banjo-Kazooie, they're all cheeky. You can tell this was made by some Brits. They love their cheek. And then from there, the different worlds branch off, right? And I would say in comparison to to other 3D platformers, not just Mario 64, right? There's a lot more sort of situational upgrades in Banjo, right? Like there's all the different boots that you get, right? Some let you walk in hazardous water, some let you run fast, right? Things like that. You can fly, but only with certain pads, right? So what they sort of do is there's that base moveset that Banjo has, and then these optional things, and that's how they sort of add variety to the levels, right? Mm-hmm. And some of that includes even backtracking, right? There are some jiggies you can't get until you get those future upgrades. Now, I think that works well. I think it's the most balanced it is in any rare game in Banjo-Kazooie, right? I think in Banjo-Tooie and Conker, they lean too much on the pads, right? On you do this here. And then it gets out of control in Donkey Kong. It's insane.
Donkey Kong 64 is their most out of control collectathon of all time.
They get more and more unleashed as the thing goes on. And I think that them being...
Banjo-Tooie gets crazy, but then Donkey Kong 64 gets insane.
Yeah. And then Nuts and Bolts kind of gets even wilder, right? Where they made the levels too big for Banjo to run around in, so they had to make cars.
Dumb cars. Jesus, what a dumb game.
Moose's favorite Banjo game. That is... So... That is all to say, I think that it is unfortunate that it's commonly compared to Mario 64 because they're the two biggest 3D platformers on the system that it was on. Because I think that it's hard to... These, I think, are two very good video games, These are... And even if I don't... Mario 64 thankfully isn't on the list, we have to talk about it in this situation. But I think that Banjo 64 is just a very, very solid platformer that did a lot of stuff right in a time where a lot of stuff was still figuring it out, And I think that it's still fun to go back to. Ills, maybe you could disagree because you went back to it for the first time this year, right?
Yeah, I did.
How did you find it?
I mean, I like the level design. It's very well put together. I mean, the look of the levels, not the design itself, because there's not a lot of directionality to the levels. They're just very open. You just go wherever you want. Yeah. Which is it's kind of rough because they don't give you enough. There's not enough signposting. You don't know exactly where to go a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. This is especially a problem with Rusty Bucket Bay.
Yes, the end game especially.
Fucking mess.
100% in Rusty Bucket Bay and Tick Tock Clock. No, that's a different thing. The wood level, whereas the seasons, right?
It's very similar to. It's not TikTok Woods, but it's very similar to TikTok.
Something,
yeah.
But either way, those I think you're right are especially frustrating to try to 100% in particular, right? Which the game expects you to do.
Yeah, the game pretty much expects you to get 100% of all the notes at least.
Yeah.
Because when you get to the final boss, if you don't have all the notes or very close to all the notes, you can't get the replenishment of all your items easily.
Yeah.
So every time you lose to the final boss, which is kind of a bitch because it's kind of a hard fight, you have to go back into the levels and get all the eggs and all the feathers and all the goddamn horseshit that you need.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go back and 100% those levels, basically.
Now, did you play on an emulator or did you play on the 360 version?
I played an emulator.
Okay, so one of the biggest changes from the N64 version to the 360 version, I think is an improvement, is when you leave a level or when you die in a level originally, it would reset your count, right? For the amount of notes. They changed that in the 360 version to where it doesn't matter. You got the note, right? Which I think is the smart decision.
Yeah. That's a lot better.
Yeah, I played the 360 version 100%ed it, and it was awesome. It was way better.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense because I was getting very annoyed that it would keep track of the notes that you collected, but every time you wanted to go back to get more of them, if you didn't get all of them, you would have to collect the same notes over again.
Which is not fun.
It's fuck me.
But we're ranking the 360 version.
Yeah.
Because that's the best version. Which, I mean, it's hard because it's just envision this improvement rather than what you played.
No, I get it. No,
yeah.
I mean that's easy to envision.
It's like the
Simple enough
Xenoblade
to-
thing,
to-
with
But-
the side quests.
I do believe that the 360 version doesn't have the stage. I mean, the file select where he's playing the Game Boy.
It does. They keep it. They
do?
They straight
Oh
up
my
keep
God.
they don't change the Game Boy. They don't change the N64 in the background.
Okay, cool. Because I booted it up by mistake like a second ago and I didn't see it. But
Yeah. No, it's very funny that because that game is very Nintendo iconography focused and referencing, but suddenly that has to work on an Xbox platform. So, Moose, I know
and
you're.
It's
Sorry,
also
go
very charming. Like I really like all the board game battle with
Yeah.
Gruntilda near the end,
Mhm.
which I was really hoping was going to be the last fight because I hated the last fight.
Yeah, it's
Like that would have been a
Last
lot
fight
better.
is fucking hard.
It's fucking dumb.
they double your
Um,
they double your health to get for the 100% reward, and it feels like they balanced it around that rather than just being like a fun fight.
Oh, do they? Huh.
Yeah.
That's fucking dumb. Yeah, so I really wish that was because that was a cool little battle.
Very
I really
clever.
like-
and made more
I
sense.
think-
And made more sense. Go ahead.
Yeah, the boss that was a wicked fun battle, and I just want to say I do really like just the creative idea behind Banjo Kazooie, and how it works and the move sets and stuff that you do in the game. I just think it's I think it's very creative and very charming, and I think it works well for just a cutesy 3D platformer like this. It's really cool. I just like. It's very inventive. A lot of things they come up with their move sets and the stuff you could do in terms of 3D platforming. I think it's really cool.
I do like the moves. I don't like that so many of them are tied to pads.
Yeah.
Like it
Mhm.
doesn't feel good to move around and like look for a pad instead of having the ability. Like
Right.
being
Yeah, like
able to do the
spring
high
jump
jump.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
them I think make sense, like flight, right? You don't have flights available at all
Yeah.
times, but like
Yeah, like,
especially like the hazard boots, it sort of feels like that should just be like a permanent thing you get, right?
Yeah.
I do like the mumbo jumbo like
Transformations.
in all the levels.
I
think
like
they're cool.
I like the transformations. I don't like that you have to go back to Mumbo to cancel them. I thought that was so fucking dumb.
Yeah, the best you can do sometimes is just like leave the level and then you get retransformed, and it's like either way, it's like you're having to go out of your way. I agree, that's annoying.
But I think but as a gameplay mechanic, it's cool to have a different transformation each level, and you get there and you're like, oh, what am I going to turn into now? I think it's really neat.
I don't think it's every level, but it's a lot.
It's
of
like every other, I think.
Most of the
Good
levels.
jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moose, I know you don't like Banjo as much, so you have the floor to complain.
I mean, I don't want to turn this into I think Banjo Kazooie is very good in Super Smash Brothers. But
Wow.
I don't know. I don't like this game. Like, I think playing as Banjo sucks. He doesn't control well. I really don't think that. I think that the open world design is overwhelming. Like you said, Tui, it's better than Tui, but no, it's still like too much for me. Like I don't think that the levels. There's a lot of levels in the game also that are just straight up not fun. Especially towards the end of the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, Rusty Bucket Bake can go fucking die in a fire.
Very much so. Like I don't know, like it's a collectathon platformer, but like the collecting is not very interesting. I have a hard time, and then like people like the charm in it or whatever. I find it very grating. I don't I don't enjoy the humor in this game.
Muzzy hates
I don't.
the
I mean,
Muzzy
I do,
does.
but I don't enjoy the humor in this game. I don't enjoy even the music is annoying to me. Like
Wow.
everything
What the
about this
fuck?
game.
America's sweetheart, Grant Kirkhope, is crying.
Grant is fucking pissed right now. He's never
I
coming
don't
on this
want him
podcast.
to. Okay.
I do.
I love Grant Kirkhope.
Look, I'm sure
Fuck.
I'm sure he's a great guy, but like
The music in this game is
Eh.
fucking awesome.
Eh.
What the fuck? I can't disagree with you.
but I don't know. Just I think the whole game is just bleh. I don't have strong feelings.
Click, clack, wood.
Click
Sorry.
clack wood.
Click clack wood. Tick tock,
There we
click
go.
clack. All right.
I can't disagree with Muzzy's opinion anymore.
This is what happens when your mind is poisoned by floating blocks. That's all I gotta say. But besides all, I want to make sure Moose got got their corner, right? Their area.
Do they fix the camera control and flying in Xbox 360 version?
I mean, I still thought it was bad, but
I don't. As the like to play the N64 version, so I can't tell you if they were different. To be honest,
flying in N64 games not always great.
Well, in the N64 version, you basically cannot control the camera.
you. I think it's essentially the same. You can do more up and down. I think, right? So you can see more like what's below you or above you, but you're basically seeing behind Kazooie the whole time, if I remember right.
Yeah, okay. That was fucking torturous, especially during the final fight, because you had to hit her while she was midair flying away from you.
Yeah.
Flying in the final fight is some bullshit. It just like the flying in Yooka-Laylee, in the original Yooka-Laylee, not in Impossible Lair, but the flying in that game, on the final fight in that game too, is fucking also bullshit.
Yooka-Laylee is such a funny game because it's a... It is. They're like, we're gonna bring everything, including all the warts. We're not worried about the things that people didn't like. We think are still good, actually.
No. They've made that game better though through updates. But the final fight in that game, big throwback to Banjo-Kazooie. You know? It's kind of shit.
So
where do we want?
So where do we want to put it on the list?
I mean, I know where I want this, but I'm locked and loaded.
You gonna get 2 weeks in a row where somebody wants a game so low that I want to smash my face into the wall right now.
So if I were to look at everything on the list, I think that I would put it in the 50s.
At least we're kind of close, Will. I'll say at least we're kind of close.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I was thinking. Either above or below Sonic 2. Probably below Sonic 2. That's where I was.
So that'd be 49.
How about we double that and add a couple more, get to about 105 below, or no, more than that, but where was it? Where's Hotel
Snatcher?
Dusk?
Hotel Dusk is 106.
So 107 is what I'm thinking for Banjo-Kazooie. I think that's an apt place.
Nope. Disagree with that. Move Hotel Dusk up.
Ills, how do you feel?
Up into the 40s, and maybe I'll agree with you.
I kind of want it below the second Yooka-Laylee game, Impossible Lair.
Where's Impossible Lair? 68?
68.
Yeah, for sure below that.
I could put it lower, but I mean, I think maybe below Walking Dead Season 1 or something.
I think it's better than Indivisible.
I'm seeing a lot of things that it should definitely be worse than.
I don't think it's better than Punch-Out. Indivisible, I can hear a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, Indivisible might just be too high, though. You know, like that classic problem.
I think.
But like, I think Donkey Kong Country 1 is better than Banjo-Kazooie. I think 999 is better than Banjo-Kazooie. I think Ghost Trick is better than Banjo-Kazooie. 3D Land is definitely.
You think a lot of things are better.
I mean, clearly, you said you want it in the 110.
Yeah, I get it
for sure. Ace Attorney, yup. Stardew.
I'm willing to put it below Ghost Trick.
Ghost Trick. Cool.
Now we have 4 people.
Honest.
So we have a even number.
Where's Ghost Trick? I lost it.
80.
You know, I could settle for that.
No, I can't. I refuse. I'm willing to listen to below what did Ills
Impossible Lair.
Impossible Lair. Like even that's way lower than where I would want to put it. But like, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't put it in the 80s. That's for sure.
80s out of 220.
It's still pretty high.
I think I would want it above Donkey Kong Country at least.
Maybe Donkey Kong Country is also too high.
No, I think it's fine. But I think it's better than Donkey Kong Country.
It's definitely not. Fuck this anti-rare shit right now.
Ghost Trick is a better game. It just is.
Nah. Who the fuck talks about Ghost
Bills
Trick?
and I, you know.
Everybody talks about fucking Banjo-Kazooie.
We talk about Ghost Trick every time
is
we
that
see
motherfucking stupid ass in Smash? No, he ain't.
Wow,
I mean,
disrespecting.
I don't want to disrespect Ghost Trick. I just think Banjo's better.
If notoriety means everything, Call of Duty should be number one. You know, everyone plays Call of Duty. Everyone's talking about Call of Duty.
Call of Duty isn't in Smash Brothers, man. I'm just saying there's a reason for it.
I would say this argument's getting us nowhere, Brandon.
Nostalgia, though. Like, people have such strong nostalgia for Banjo-Kazooie because they played it when they were 10. Grow up, people! Like,
because they were 10.
Your childhood is not perfect, okay?
No.
Now, keep in mind, the Moose is going to put Crash 4 very high on their top 10 list.
Because Crash was a new game, you know, and it's...
Pokemon Red and Blue, too fucking high. Nostalgia. But, yeah. Okay,
nostalgia? Okay, now I'm going to end up saying nostalgia for 2015 for Moose and Mill, which, to be fair, I actually feel nostalgia for now. Because
no, I played Red and Blue for the first time 4 years ago. You can't use that as an argument against me.
Right, because Banjo-Kazooie got rave reviews from 10-year-olds when it came out. That makes a lot of sense. I forgot 10-year-olds were all fucking
a lot of
back
things,
in 1998.
I mean,
I don't think this is going anywhere fast. Everyone,
if we would go by reviews, God Hand would be at the bottom of the list.
Hey.
I mean, it's pretty fucking low.
It would be below Sonic 06.
No, I'm just saying the argument that only like 10-year-olds that are adults now like Banjo-Kazooie. Like, no adult liked it back then when
Ghost
it
Trick,
came out.
okay?
So I'm going to reiterate, I would like it above Donkey Kong Country.
Not a single person on the internet.
I feel like that is a fair compromise.
Wait, where's Donkey Kong Country? Oh,
73.
Donkey Kong Country was much higher than that.
Above Donkey Kong Country? Yeah, you're right.
What if we put it below 999?
Because what I'm thinking about here is Ills wanted it in the 80s. You wanted it in the hundreds. Brandon wants it in the 40s. I want it in the 60s. I think if you add those up, that's around Donkey Kong Country. I think if you add those up.
Below Mega Man 3. Final offer.
No.
Oh, God.
I mean,
Mega Man
999. That's my final. 999. Below 999. That's my final offer.
No.
Well.
Below fucking WarioWare?
Yeah, WarioWare's a better game. I'd rather play WarioWare any day.
I love WarioWare. You know I am a mark for WarioWare.
I played both of these games this year,
too.
and I had more fun with WarioWare.
Yeah.
It did not overstay its welcome.
I also SteamWorld Heist, by the way.
Whereas feeling like I was forced to 100% Banjo-Kazooie.
It's not like the thing is the main gist of Banjo-Kazooie.
I don't know about you, but I had fun exploring
because you were 10.
And shit. I replayed that game in my 20s.
The main
on the 360.
Yeah, I played it for the
I
first.
still had fun. No, this isn't nostalgia.
Sure.
I replayed this game in my fucking 20s.
No, I will say.
I replayed it. How much do you know? Yes. Okay, I traveled back in time when I was 10. Are you fucking stupid?
When I was a kid, I got a copy of Banjo-Tooie for the N64, and I was too scared of Grunty to beat the game. I was too scared of her. I think you're underrating. No nostalgia. In fact, negative nostalgia for Will.
Cutscene where Grunty gets sexy.
Hey, that's a special cutscene for a lot of people.
Sure
but
SteamWorld Heist.
No, it was Tooie.
By the way, SteamWorld Heist. That's a fantastic game.
See, I think I'm cooler on SteamWorld Heist than I think the collective podcast is, to be honest. But anyway,
SteamWorld Heist.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I think I
don't like it more than SteamWorld Dig, but you know.
Yeah, but I would say I'm cooler on it than I think the average, which is fine.
Look, I'm throwing out all these compromises here.
No, you're not. I've already moved from the 50s to the 70s.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, I'm sitting here willing to put
I'm being so gracious here.
Which is like fucking 30 spots. 30 fucking spots lower than where I wanted to put it.
I'm being very gracious, and no one...
Hills, how are you feeling?
So much shit, it's not even funny.
I guess, I'm not going to get it below...
I really want it below... No, but it's 2-2 then, you know?
I hope the next burger you get is so fucking undercooked.
What?
See, look, Brandon should...
I hope you step in a fucking puddle when you're wearing socks in your
Brandon
house.
is threatening me, so I think he should get ejected from the podcast. Let's cut out his vote.
I hope you get really comfy in your bed and you have to piss. And you're like, fuck, I've never been this comfy in my life.
But if you piss, you'll be even more comfy. Because it'll be warm.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you compare Donkey Kong Country's game design to Banjo-Kazooie, there's definitely there's something less piss.
The linearity of Donkey Kong. I think I prefer it.
Yeah, can we at least get it lower than Donkey Kong Country, but we get to put it below Donkey Kong Country. One spot lower. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
All right, we did it.
This is the most of just a
episode.
Brandon's gone.
My last episode.
Banjo-Kazooie. I mean, it's right next to Mario Bros. Come on. Yeah, and that's a widely respected video game. Yeah, there it is. I thought I would bring up my average by adding Banjo. It turns out I probably didn't. Probably keeping exactly my average for where I added games on the list.
You landed in the will zone.
The Will Zone, which is surrounding Banjo-Kazooie in the Will Zone. At 72, WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games. 73, Donkey Kong Country. 74, Banjo-Kazooie started too high. 75, Rock Band. 76, SteamWorld Dig. 77, Mega Man 3.
Nice, actually.
You didn't start too high. That was perfect.
Oh, it was perfect? Okay, then we're good. It's been a while, a little rusty. But that is the list. That is the podcast for this week. Everyone feels really good about it. I'm sure Brandon might have some thoughts for his final phrase if he so desires it. I'm sure a lot of people have thoughts for their final phrase, but who wants to do plugs? Who wants to go out?
I'll take whatever is not taken.
I was just going to do plugs.
Okay, I'm doing plugs. Okay. So, if you got to the end of the screaming match, I applaud you. You can hear more. We don't always scream this much. Maybe if that's what you're here for, let us know. Maybe we'll do it more. But otherwise, we're pretty chill. We talk about video games every week. So give us a listen on SoundCloud or iTunes or wherever you want to find a podcast. Except for Spotify, we're not on Spotify. Don't look us up on Spotify. So just look up Jump Up Supercast. Otherwise, we are also on twitter.com/jumpupsupercast. I would highly recommend giving us a follow because then you'll know exactly when podcasts go up. You'll know when Game Club episodes go up, which, by the way, so the podcast goes live every Monday, but the Jump Up Supercast Game Club, hosted by Brandon, is live every other Thursday. And the next game is a pretty recent release, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. So if you want to hear most of the Jump Up Supercast's thoughts on Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, give that a listen. That'll be a fun episode. Otherwise, we are also on Twitch, twitch.tv/jumpupsupercast. Check us out. I stream a bunch of Mario games. Brandon kind of streams whatever. What did you stream recently, Brandon?
Full Goose.
Yeah, I played Fall Guys. I played Tetris 99 before because I thought it was the Super Mario thing, and I was...
Oh, one day early. Oh, too early.
Feels bad.
But yeah, no,
Brandon's got that variety streaming going on, I
might start a thing either this month or early next month. I'm not sure, but
yeah. So
might steal an idea from Uzanil, to be honest.
He's gonna play a lot of Zelda games. Spoilers.
You called it. You nailed it, folks. I do love playing those.
Yeah, but yeah. So that's why you want to check us out on Twitch. And if you missed the streams, you can go to youtube.com/jumpupsupercast. Not slash. No, sorry. Don't go to slash. Look it up. Jump Up Supercast. And you can find archives of our streams. You could find archives of the podcast if you prefer to just listen on YouTube for some reason. Your choice. You can do that. So check us out on YouTube. And we're on Instagram and Facebook. Jump Up Supercast. Whatever. Otherwise, Brandon, I guess, is taking us out, or who's taking it? Whoever is doing it.
I'll
go for it.
Take us out. Well, now that I got the floor myself, I gotta say that this was a whole bunch of bullshit, is what it was. But the only compromise that I think that we can all agree on now is that if Banjo-Kazooie is going to be this low on the list, Donkey Kong 64 should go to hell.
That's
Have a good night, everybody.
Hey.
You know what, Brandon?
Hey.
I'll meet you there.
Oh, God.
I figured you would.